Welcome to the We Speak Tangent podcast, where we speak to neurodivergent entrepreneurs.
Hello folks, welcome to this week's edition of We Speak Tangent. I'm Michael.
I'm James.
And I'm Kat.
And this week we are interviewing Stephen. Stephen, thank you so much for joining us on this rather hot morning, let's just say for the viewers. The aircon is on, but it might not be working. So, Stephen, could you just tell us a bit about yourself to sort of start with?
I'm Stephen Eggie, live in Swinton, and I've recently started an exterior cleaning business, serving borders in East Lothian.
Awesome.
Great. Okay. So, as I said, thank you so much for joining us today. Could you tell us about your neurodivergent journey?
It's quite a journey. I was diagnosed with dyslexia late primary school, and kind of struggled a lot to get support from the school, and college and onwards. But I've basically supported myself through working life, try to work out some skills and some workarounds.
Did you, I'm just listening to that, you haven't had the support total, because you said through school.
Yeah.
There was a real lack of support. The early days at school, they kept on telling my mum that he's not that smart. It's just, you have to get used to it. It's nothing. But my parents took me down to Glasgow and paid privately to get me tested. And I think I broke the chart for that one. So it was obvious that I needed quite a lot of support. And for the next few years, it was really hard to get. It was up in Aberdeen, so it was really hard to get Grampian Council to try and acknowledge it and offer support. But I was really lucky. Primary 6, I went out to learn sports school in Inverurie, which was quite a journey every day from Aberdeen to Inverurie. And that was like where everything pivoted for me. It was 2 teachers in a class of 7 kids, and we were all primary 6, primary 7. So it was just that one-to-one support, and they were focused more on confidence and coming to terms with things than actual trying to get me caught up to go into high school, which was beneficial.
I think, just listening at their primary school, that's the age, innit? That's that age where you're not quite ready to take that wee step into teenage land, but you're there. I'm dyslexic also, when you were saying that there, that age is an important time in a kid's life.
Yeah.
Hang on, can we keep that in teenage land?
Teenage
I
land.
like that.
100%. It's a Paris.
Yeah.
It's a different world.
It's like a wee platform before you get to nearly adult land.
I know you started asking a serious question, but I was like teenage land and all that. Okay, sorry, right, okay.
I'm going to bring an album out, and that's just called Teenage Land.
But no,
Sounds like a dance.
like you say, there's a lot of research about, the difference between the kids that get that transition supported and the kids that don't. Yeah.
And it's on you go.
Sorry, it really was a transition. When I arrived there, I remember going up for a visit with my mum a couple of weeks before I was supposed to start in the school, and the teacher's like, "Here's some pen and paper, just go and draw in the corner of us and speak to your mum." And it was like,
What?
I don't do pens and papers. So I'm okay. I'll just sit here. And I remember just sort of sitting and waiting nicely. But 2 years later, when I left, I went back into my original primary school for the last 2-3 weeks of primary 7, and I was reading to primary 1s and 2s. I'd come on that much that I was confident enough to.
Do you remember kind of how that felt that first time you were in that classroom with those 2 teachers who, kind of, I'm guessing, saw you and where you were and what you needed?
I can't remember particularly how it felt. I remember just feeling like a bit more of a safe place. And the teachers were more of an influence than the kids that were in my class, even though they were all great kids, but it was just nice to be supported by somebody that
Yeah.
really got it,
Mm.
which was a big difference to trying to just soldier through
Aye.
your normal
Mm.
primary school where it's, let's face it, you're not as smart as your brother, so you have to come to terms to that. And it really was, that was the sort of opinion of the teachers at the time.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to assume your age, but when was this? Because I can't imagine teachers being
Born
that
1980.
thick.
I
They
can.
were, even worse
Yeah.
through high school.
Having been in education. I
So in 1980, you potentially woke up in the morning and you hopefully, well, you obviously did, you're here, but I'm just saying,
I woke up quite a few mornings.
yeah. There's been some times.
Everyone,
No,
mostly.
but
Sometimes in the afternoon.
but what I'm getting at is you woke up in the morning and you went to school and you were told, just by what you've just said, which isn't true, I haven't met your brother, but with full respect, like, you're not as smart as... You are, you've got this thing, but nobody knows what it is or how it is. And I mean, school is meant to be where people set you up to succeed.
I think so much. I mean, I remember being in my sister's kind of shadow in a similar way. It was like, oh, she was good at that. Yeah.
Yeah, my brother's 4 years older, very academic, always has been. He's teaching now, he lives in Australia, and he's teaching out there. We get on really well because we're polar opposites, complete opposites. I'd love to be academic like him, and he's like, how do you speak to people? Like,
Fair.
I don't have the skills and the social skills and stuff because I ended up going working in kitchens, so it was customer service and all that kind of things.
Yeah.
Like, see when you're just I'm interested. See when you're at school at that age, that's a pivotal age for me. Like that's important. But so being dyslexic and having all these other things very similar to me was, and I don't know if it's the same for you. I guess that's what I'm trying to ask. Is like, do you still feel that like somebody's watching you? Because when you go to all these classes and the teachers are there and there are other people there is that certain sense of people watching me, and there's a scared sense. I don't mind saying it. There's a scared sense of like, who's watching me?
I think I was really, really lucky. My parents were really proactive, trying to get me support and something. They would reach any opportunity because it wasn't coming from the school. So I went for about 2 years, I went to the hospital after school to do like an hour of classes with somebody who was trying to work out teaching dyslexic people how to understand patterns and see if that could get around the reading and writing.
Yeah.
So like getting to recognise patterns a lot better. And I thought that was kind of great because it really taught me that there's somebody out there that's...
Yeah. That cares.
Who cares?
Yeah, somebody wants to know about this. It's not just you have to get over it. There's somebody here to try and... So that really brought my confidence on. And a few other things from teachers afterwards really helped.
I think feeling heard is just such a, we said this in another podcast, it's so important to be feeling heard. So if somebody out there is listening, what would you, I like to say that, what would you say to them? Obviously times have moved on, but certain things are still happening. What would you say to them?
I think... Sorry, brain freeze.
Or to younger you, if that's an easy way to think about it. What would have helped you to hear?
I don't know, I think to understand that you do have the talents to get round the problems that you face. And I think I was taught at a pretty young age to the best way around it is to don't feel embarrassed. You out-embarrass people. So this is back in the times where like you'd still go into banks to sort things.
Yeah.
And you'd still be able to speak to people, which was a nightmare because you have to write things down.
Of course, yeah.
But I used to go in, big smile, and say, I'm dyslexic. You have to help me. And it really worked. And I always got a good reaction from people.
Yeah.
And I do that through work. I do that even nowadays at the age I am. It's just be open about it. There's people out there that's aware of it.
And I think the good thing is you've just said there, I'm talking because you've gave me it, it was like, ask for help. Don't be scared to ask for help. It's like, that's so important to ask for help. And I guess that was what I was asking, like how do you go about asking for help? Obviously you had the teachers and asking that, but it's no easy at that
Yeah.
age to ask for these things.
Yeah, it's difficult because your confidence is one thing that takes the biggest hit.
Yeah.
Just being different.
Yeah.
And teenage land's no easy.
Teenage land's terrible.
Teenage land is not easy.
I mean, so there's a couple of things there. I think that's the first time I've heard it described as you've got to out-embarrass people.
Yeah,
That's a wonderful game to play.
There's a probably better way to put it.
No, there's
No,
not.
that's fair.
There
Okay.
isn't. Yeah.
I really find it kind of, if you break the ice with people, they'll be put in a situation where, well, I'm not going to act weird because he's so normal about it. It must be normal now.
Yeah, normalising the masking and
Yeah.
normalising what it is you do.
And also, I mean, it's also the first time that I've heard something close to my experience, which is 7 people, 2 teachers. Let's find out. Because if that was in a class of 30, 40, you would be lost,
Yeah,
finished,
you
done. It was, you know, and that there has to be, I mean, I was going to launch into a tirade about if teachers don't know the conditions that students have, they're not very good teachers. But it seems that, which is true, but it seems that you actually got the support in a roundabout way in the end. But it wasn't because the teachers were like, it was because your parents fought like the dickens to get it.
Yeah. Both my mum and dad fought so hard and just were never off the phone chasing it up. Really lucky at one point we had an educational psychologist.
Oh, they're wonderful people.
That
Yes.
just- He made things move. He got things done, and showed us loads of options that weren't suitable.
Yeah.
We looked at boarding schools and schools that were dedicated to more practical skills. But my parents felt that at 18, when you're at the end of that school time, what do you do? Like, you have this person that's not ready for the outside world as it is because you spent the whole time. So it's, I think, a balance between the two.
So we've I mean, I'm sure we'll touch on it as time goes on, but we've had the sort of big discussion about what you weren't able to do straight away. What were your interests at that time? What was your escape? What could you
Interest would be being outside, birds. I was really into. I was a young ornithologist as a child.
Awesome.
My parents were great. They bought me all the magazines I wanted and paid for the subscription and stuff.
What's an ornithologist?
somebody who looks at birds.
Aye, I've never heard that.
Yeah.
That made me smile. I like
It's
that.
a good hobby. But just fascinated. My brain's at its calmest when I'm learning something.
Yeah. I can relate.
But learning on your own terms.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because you've built that system in because your brain's coping.
There's something about that when you're in. I'm going to go on a tangent now.
Good. We need one.
This is the first one.
Here we go.
No, but there's something about when you're in a hide with people and it's that silence and there's not an expectation to talk to each other, but you all know that you're all excited about the same thing,
Yeah.
and that it's kind of a togetherness without forced interaction. I can relate to that.
Is a hide a room? Sorry.
Sorry, a shed that you look at birds from.
Oh,
A wee hidey hole.
we've lived completely different lives. Okay. Yeah. So looking at So what I'm thinking is that, and I've said this, and I will say this as podcasts go on. If you have an interest, and we've had this chat, if you have an interest and you show an interest in something, why in goodness knows why people don't focus on that. So were you given opportunities to adapt your learning to do something that you're interested in? Because that would be a far easier proposition for you
Massively enhances
than to
learning.
actually get you to do something that isn't your fault and is difficult for you.
Yeah, I guess I didn't feel that there was much guidance into channeling into something that would be beneficial. It was more basically just concentrating on skills, like coping mechanisms, and
I mean, that's certainly something that is recommended now, that you bring in existing interests and try and relate them to the learning.
It seems logical. I mean, if you show an interest in something, I'd rather people do things that, and this is where it will divert. There will be viewers and listeners going, we've all got to do things we don't want to do. No, we don't.
No.
Apart from pay tax, we've all got to do that. But I mean,
It's like you do, but also you don't.
Yeah.
And also you can adapt to the
Yes.
things that you do have to do to make it easier.
there will be people out there that will be repressed because they didn't get the opportunity to do the thing that they always wanted to do, and there will be people that will watch and listen to this that goes, that sounds like my experience, and I wasn't. And what makes that person different to me? What makes that person different to you is that people actually fought to get that support rather than the sort of road less, the road more travelled, which is essentially just sort of try and fit. Like if you don't get it right at school for whatever reason,
It's very hard
that's
to catch
it.
up.
Yeah. So anyway, enough about my sort of tangent with the teaching community. You're all marvellous, and there are some teachers out there. But in 1980, or however long that was, it wasn't. It was a different world.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So how did you adapt leaving school? What did you?
I was quite prepared. I had a learned sport teacher through high school, which didn't really fit the school because the teachers that were teaching the classes didn't really believe that this child that's getting support can. To the stage where we tested it,
Right.
Where I remember one summer I had to write a report about the impact in an environment somewhere.
Mm.
Yep.
So it was basically, that was my dad's job at the time. He was doing an impact of oil and gas in Indonesia. So I basically stole all his work as a professional at doing it
Yes.
and submitted that, and I didn't fill the gaps. All she wanted was for me to copy what she wrote as a framework and fill the gaps with the information that I... So it was just such a different way of thinking and learning than I was able to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, about the after school, my teacher, the sport teacher, realised that it wasn't really connecting with the actual teachers. So the plan was
Good for her.
she would take her bills in and I would pay her bills for her house. She would take her... I would phone up if she was booking a hotel for a weekend away.
That's brilliant.
I would phone up
That's
and do
genius.
that. So it's all little things that big world out there that you just needed a little bit of confidence. And it ended up being, I was better than most people by the end of it. When I left school and all my friends were the same age, they were like, what's council tax? It's like, cool.
What an
I'll take
awesome
you to the
idea.
office and I'll sort it out. So I was...
That's the first I've heard that.
That's
genius.
also the reason that I can do things on the phone, because I was...
I'm
Me too.
41, man. I
Given
can't.
that
It's
to
like...
do.
And this, the teacher that helped me through all this did it in her spare time. So instead of lunch hour, I would go to the learn sport room. Instead of taking a language at school, I did support classes.
Yeah,
And we
shout out
just-
to her, man.
Yeah, like absolutely. I
Because
always...
especially if the teachers weren't really connecting, you know, that was a pretty brave step.
I
How
always-
great, how great is it that the school isn't working, so they give you more school, but you're happy to go. It's like, if nobody picked it up on that, it's like,
They're just,
genius.
Yeah, they're
What
just
you doing?
they're piling stuff on top of stuff on
Aye.
top of stuff, and then blaming you.
It was, it was difficult as well because it made you very different. To
Yeah,
everybody.
stood out for everybody. and
Yeah,
I get
it's
that.
like, why is he standing in
Aye,
the corridor when we're all supposed to be out?
I
at
guess
lunch?
that's my curiosity, is how were those relationships with the other children?
Yeah, been better, I would say. Some of them, I mean, great friends through school, but just kids can be
Yeah.
kids.
That's it.
There was a real lack of understanding, and in any sort of school, I'd imagine, even these days, to be different is a bit of a...
Challenge.
Yeah.
But no, in here,
No.
different is all right.
That's the
Yep.
the biggest thing about it. Like, that was my school life that was supposed to prepare me to be an adult. And then when I became an adult, I found out that everybody's pretty much okay about it.
Aye.
And even if they're not okay about it, you just be so open and in their face about it that they have to be.
Yeah. Or you just choose not to interact with those people.
Yeah.
I think that is I think that's a far greater point, and we've got to give that credit for. I think school is or should be such a focused environment where you are together because you have to be together. And I think there are different ways for folks to learn, and it's the teacher's job to sort of. There's a reason there's a lot of wonderful assistants.
But however, not as many anymore, because they
no.
took a lot of the funding away from learning support assistants.
But I mean, the people with the ability and the talent to actually focus and find what it is that you can do, there are still some wonderful people out there, but that isn't taught. That's just caring.
That's just who they are. Yeah, exactly.
Humans being humans.
Human be humaning. So, what sort of and by the way, sorry, I forgot to say that communication should be taught. That's not an English class. That's sitting you down in front of a phone and going, you want to book a room.
Yeah.
Here's the information you need. Try not to sound insert word here. That isn't taught.
Yeah, here's 4 people in a room all saying, we had to practice.
Yeah.
But also, I sat and cried for an hour before the first time I spoke to anyone on the phone. And it's like, somebody had to sit through that and be like, actually, it's fine that you feel like that, but also, you can do it.
I think the person that I phoned the first time cried for an hour. It wasn't Kat, but I think my first phone call was, I think it was the Hilton or something. I require a room.
I think mine was BT.
I didn't get this. I struggle. I still struggle with this. I'm 41, nearly 42.
You have people though. That's different.
But it's like even there, like 37. I think I was the first when I came up for oxygen. I'm like, how do I pay my bills?
Yeah.
My form of dyslexia is different, but it's like the same principles are there. So when you were saying that, I'm like, that's why I asked. Younger you, that's a great skill. That's I'm going to take something away with that, and I'm going to gift that to people. I've never heard that. It just shows you. I always class myself. I've been out in the wild for a long time, so when I come and hear things like that, I really do. I was going on a tangent there, but thanks for that. Is what I was trying to say.
No, it's a pleasure.
Thanks for that.
Seems like a good point to break and turn over to part 2. I don't know why I keep saying all these social takes. Like turn over, we've got to turn the record over. Like it's 2024.
That's fine.
Let's get a
Records
record.
were cool.
Anyway, so join us in part 2. I'll have a coffee and try not to sound as ticky with our interview with Stephen with Stevie. So yeah, join us then. We are back. Welcome to part 2 of this week's edition of We Speak Tangent, where we are interviewing Stevie. Either.
Stevie.
Yeah. Okay,
Cool.
It's always good to get the names out of the way. I just waited till part 2.
I've been called worse.
Edit that in.
Eventually.
Yeah. So, just give me, if you could, a brief before we get to your actual business. Could you, while you're here, could you just give us a brief history of some of the jobs that you have had before starting your own business?
Yeah. It can't be that brief because I've had quite a few jobs.
Nah.
A semi-brief
Is
thing.
I
Yeah.
left school.
thing.
Yeah.
And started working in a hotel in Aberdeen and did my training there. And then realised that I didn't really enjoy chefing. It was a good young man's job. It was great fun and stuff, but I don't think it had longevity for me.
Was that just like making food, or was
Yeah,
it sous chef? Or was it?
I've worked in all sorts of places. I did 3 years training there and then moved into sort of the bistros and restaurants in Aberdeen City. And worked my way up to head chef a few places. But that in itself was different. I wasn't the normal head chef. I was really good at the organising staff, doing rotas, doing stuff like that, but orders and stock counts and all that kind of paperworky side of things I wasn't particularly good on.
How did they adapt it, or did they not? Because you're head chef, you've got Paul here. You can go, hang on.
Yeah, I just made sure that there was a good team around me. Everybody was quite understanding. Surprisingly large amount of dyslexic people in the catering industry. So, like most of the jobs that I've had, it's a surprising amount of dyslexic people.
That's interesting because whenever I haven't done that, I worked in fish and chip shops and stuff, and one of the hardest things was how fast you have to read all the orders.
Yeah. I think
That's a skill and a half.
how I got around that, particularly with like reading out checks when the orders come in, I just worked really, really hard in learning the few things that it will be. Like try not to read every check. I would look at it and try and memorise.
Does that come back to the pattern recognition
Yeah,
stuff?
I kind of try and memorise each person's handwriting. This was the difficult bit before it started coming through and printed check.
Yeah.
So I'd learn each other's handwriting.
So this is what, mid-90s?
That's awesome.
Yeah, it would have been sort of 90s, 96 onwards. I left school in 96, 97.
Yeah, we're a long way away from what it is now, where somebody comes up with an iPad and goes, what do you want? What do you really want a separate order? I've got to go into that menu and that menu. Yeah.
Yeah, the trade's changed quite a bit since my day. But yeah, for moving on from that, I chefed for the longest time till about 20 years ago. Maybe actually less, about 16, 17 years ago.
And you left because you weren't happy?
Yeah. I suffered quite badly from depression.
Yeah.
And
Me too.
being in a job where you could work every hour and drink the last couple of hours
Yeah.
really seemed to be the way it was. And for a lot of the guys that were in the same job as me. But I realised that there's just... I needed to get out into something that was a bit more outdoors, a little bit less destructive.
Yep. Is
That's
that one of those things where it's like you start something and then you feel like you have to follow it through, and then you kind of get there and you're like, actually...
That's very me. Like
Life.
I'll follow things through regardless of the
How comfortable you
detrimental
actually
effects.
are.
Yeah. It was also, when I left school, I didn't really know of any other jobs that I could do. I wasn't massively into chefing, but
that's the old Kenneth Williams dad thing. Get a trade.
Yeah,
You'll get a trade. Cook. Do something. Do something that.
yeah, I wish they'd teach a bit more independence at schools. Like if I was taught I could do my own thing, whether that's making soap for people, whether it's walking people's dogs. I never really thought that was an option.
Absolutely.
Because at the careers time at school, it was like, you need to go and get an apprenticeship at a business. And do that. And it's just like, that's clearly not going to work.
They're trying
for
to
me.
channel you into something that you'll know, that box that I'm always talking about. It's like...
Which I think is the next massive improvement for education, is to teach people how to run their own businesses.
Yeah.
I think it's something that's kind of, everybody thinks it's what other people do. Or I definitely did. I thought it's it's not for me, because how would I do A, B, and C?
But I mean, the flip side of that is making food is the survival instinct.
Yeah,
like it's the thing. You need food to live. So it's like, I think of all the trades to learn, that would be.
People are always going to eat.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the idea. It was always like a fallback. You could
chef, undertaker, taxman. Everything else is like, much of a muchness.
But as much as it wasn't a great fit for me, I did learn a lot about people.
Yeah.
And I think that's where I compensate for a lot of my things that hold me back in business.
Yeah.
So you left chefing, you left making food, and you wanted to be outdoors. So then you went to?
Yeah, I did a few different jobs. I've done a lot of like little bits and pieces, but the next main job after that, when I was trying to get a bit more of my life back, I got into farming.
Okay, that's outdoors. Okay, good, well done.
Which
Always outdoors.
Can't get any more outdoors.
Out the frying pan into the fire.
So what roles did you take in the farming?
Everything. And that's the great thing about farming.
Is that like a nothing question? Is there roles in farming? Is there defined roles?
There definitely is.
Okay.
Depends on the type of farming as well.
But a lot of my work was not so much on the tractor side of things. It was, I worked for a big farm that farmed other farms.
Okay.
So they contracted out. So I did a lot of maintenance.
Farmer.
I know, it's madness.
All right,
I did a
I'll
lot
take
of
this one.
maintenance. I was there to sort of be clean up other people's yards, make sure everything's tip top. The jobs that your farm staff would normally do.
Nice.
But because you've contracted it out to other people, it was just their little way to keep everything nice.
Thinking as well.
Which really fitted with me, because I like to be organised. Like I was going into old sheds that had like hadn't been changed since the
Yeah.
70s. And
you've just engaged Kat. Okay, we'll
Yeah.
switch off. That's fine.
What a fun job.
yeah, it was amazing. It was absolutely amazing.
James and I go for a coffee at this
Yeah.
point. We'll see you in part 4. And we're
There's
away.
something about so I did a lot of time on like horsey yards and stuff, and there's something about that where you go into a room and it's dusty or disorganized or whatever, and you just sweeping, and then it's like, I did that. Look at that I did. It's so satisfying.
I honestly thought it was just me that thought like that. Because nobody I've ever worked with in the farm and stuff, because we'd all get sent in winter to do the sort of cleaning jobs like that.
Yeah.
And nobody was really interested. But like I got a lot of satisfaction out of cleaning the most disgusting things out of grain dryers or tidying up yards that are bigger in the village I live in and stuff like that. So it's
Yeah.
there was a lot of enjoyment there.
And is that something, as a non-farmer, is that something that you do yourself? Is that like lots of hours where you don't see people and it's just you and...
Very reflective.
Yeah.
Yeah, too reflective.
Okay, yeah.
It was my sort of downfall, that kind of lifestyle. In the summer, I was working up to about 110 hours a week, running grain dryers.
That's really hard when you go from that to having a lot of headspace.
Yeah.
Because you can run away and run away and run away, but it's still there.
And that's before I learned to audiobooks, the joys
Yep.
of audiobooks. Or because I find if I listen to music, it's over in, like an album's over in 45 minutes to an hour.
Yeah.
So I know how many albums I've listened to and how long my day is. So
Yeah.
audiobooks, you just lose yourself. It gets rid of your sort of inner voice and you can just
I love audiobooks too.
crack on all day.
So we've actually got to the point now of how did you get through it? So it's audiobooks and music. So what were you listening to when you're cleaning something or?
I didn't really get into audiobooks until sort of after the farming.
Right. Okay.
I listened to like some podcasts and bits and pieces just as they were kind of starting off.
So this is what 2000 and.
Oh, my dates are a bit dodgy when it comes up to the 2000s.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
So what kind of precipitated the jump
Yeah.
from that sort of very reflective, very in your own time kind of organising and cleaning and stuff into doing stuff for yourself?
Basically, I worked myself into the ground on the farm and had like a pretty big breakdown.
They'll let you do that,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
I ended up having psychosis.
Oh goodness.
That's not comfortable.
So, it was pretty tough. It was
Yeah.
also really exciting at the same time.
I've never heard it described
yeah,
as that before.
Very strange.
Yeah.
But it was basically just years and years of pushing myself, masking the extra stress in life that I have just trying to keep up.
Yeah.
And then with the depression that was always just sort of there eating away the rest of what was left.
Yeah.
And I really feel that working for yourself is a lot better because I'm better at putting pressure on myself. If somebody else puts pressure on me, I
Yeah.
work too hard. I'm better
Yeah.
at going to myself, head's a bit busy today. I'll just
Just take a
like I met
moment,
my friend for
actually.
lunch the other day when we were supposed to be working. It's like
Nice.
Welcome to my life.
yeah, it was
Yeah.
Yeah, it gives you that kind of space to look after
Freedom.
yourself a little bit
Yeah.
more, doesn't it?
And I find it really difficult because my depression coming and going, I was reluctant to get into another job and have an episode or have a time where you need to
Yeah.
come back. And then you're starting from scratch again.
So you go from cleaning farm sheds to present day. You run a cleaning business.
Yeah.
So Kat's asked the sort of introductory question: how did you get from A to B? But also, I mean, you sort of said when you first came in that there isn't a set pattern. So you're going from other people putting pressure on you to you putting pressure on yourself. And so tell us what is the what it's a cleaning business, but what is the bit? What do you
Which
specialise
sorts of
in?
That's it. What
clients
is it? What do
have?
you do? Tell us.
When it comes down to it, exterior cleaning, which is majority of the work, is pressure washing and soft washing.
So is that private clients or is that back to kind of farms and
No, it's
commercial?
private and commercial.
Cool.
I'm getting a lot more sort of residential jobs just now. I've got a few jobs with the council.
Oh,
Excellent.
okay, good.
Which is
Congratulations.
good. But yeah, my plan is to move into doing a little bit more commercial work. Just enjoy the large scale.
It's a little bit more.
Challenging. That's why I think
No, I was going for like secure, as in
That would have been my next
routine.
question, which is
Yeah.
where's the money? Yeah.
Yeah, I think it needs to be a balance. I think there definitely needs to be, for cash flow, residential work is a lot better.
Okay.
But I think you can get to a certain level in a business where you need to grow into commercial work to get bigger contracts.
Is it like the sort of art business and photography business where you're forever hemorrhaging money on equipment? I mean, can anybody... I mean, this is going to sound like a dad question, I apologise, but when do you make money? By the time you've bought the equipment, how long do you have to go to break even and make money? When do you eat? That's the cat question.
A good thing, not for quite a while.
Okay.
It all depends on your setup. I was lucky enough to get majority of things set up.
Right.
I only need a little bit more investment to be able to move into different type of roof cleaning and things like that. But yeah, it can quite quickly, the setup is, for setting up a business, it's quite reasonably priced. You can get yourself set up and organised for around about the £10,000 mark.
Okay.
For like
hefty then.
small van,
Yeah,
small pressure washer, a little bit of training. But yeah, I've managed to set everything up and organise everything without having much overheads.
Awesome.
What support have you had to set that up? Or has it just been you?
It's been mainly me. I've had a few people, a few friends that own businesses giving advice. I'm constantly listening to podcasts about business, marketing and all that kind of stuff. Because I'm just fascinated by it. It's when it gets annoying and cold and wet, it's what you can put your brain into.
Look, if I'm
enjoyable.
pressure washing anything, I'm listening to a podcast. I don't care how much money you pay me total.
I love pressure washing though. I remember see when we used to do the lorries at the yard. It was like, oh yeah.
It's the amount of people that you meet that are like fascinated. Like customers would be like, I can watch hours of this washing. It's like, come on, I'll pay you for it. It'll be fine.
So I'm going to ask the next question, but before I do, can we have a wee plug for your business? Because we've not mentioned that. What's the name of your business?
Yeah, absolutely.
Business called Swinton Exterior Cleaning.
Swinton Exterior Cleaning. Cool. I thought I'd just ask that. So I'll ask this question because it's very important. But before I do, is like I like to hear the stuff you're saying. We had a wee chat earlier. You know, you've accepted that everything has happened to get you here, and that is fascinating. I'm sitting watching you because I am entertained by listening, because I see a lot, as Michael and Kat said, what's happened to me, and it's like, this is nice to see another one of our fellows getting on and getting doing it. So
it is
done.
The you exist thing.
Exactly. It's like, so I'll get my question out first. I've got a lot of things running in my mind. So, and how does your neurodivergence enhance what you do as an entrepreneur business owner?
I think it enhances quite a lot. I think it gives me a unique approach to things. Problem solving's pretty good. Like I can visualize things when I've worked in teams before. Yeah. I can really visualize and put things into action a lot better.
Yeah.
Cool.
Because it takes out the stage of writing emails to organise things, because it was always I adapted to not being able to write emails. I would go and have a conversation with somebody to then get the ball rolling and things.
You'd go and have a conversation with somebody?
So much better than writing.
Yeah. That is so avant-garde. How could you actually look somebody in the eye and have a chat with them rather than send an email? That's awful.
Text messages and emails take me like days. I use AI now for everything.
Nice.
It's a really good way to, I think it overcompensates for knowing that I'm dyslexic. I try and hide it the most. So I'm mortified if there's a mistake somewhere.
Okay.
So having AI to spit out pretty much majority of it, I'll edit it and send it, and it just takes that edge
Yeah,
off.
and I mean, because I use a lot of like speech to text to do like texting and stuff, and it's so much better.
That's new to me. Like, I write books, and I was driving in and this question, and I was burning to. I was like, just no one to just jump in, but I write kids' books, and they're popular. I'm going to tell you this wee story because it's been eating me alive since this morning. I drove in really early this morning because I was excited to meet
How
you.
early was
You
early?
did. I was also early.
I was here about 45 minutes early. So I write books, and if the person's listening that this was, I mean no harm by this. So I had started to sell books that were popular, the writing. I'm dyslexic. My form of dyslexia is I don't know punctuation, capital, small. I just go for it. And it is what it is. Before AI came, and I sold loads of books, first edition copies of books. I wanted them printed. I did them. I did the illustrations. It was an embracing moment. And then I was walking down the street and a woman said, excuse me. That isn't how she talks, by the way. That's just in my mind. But she's like, there's mistakes in this. Now, my heart sank. I had my whole life, wee James, young James, small James, everything flashing before me. Now, my past is often presented itself, but this was like challenging. By myself, nobody there. It felt like an attack. And ADHD James was in charge, and he's like, I'm dyslexic, and we've sold out of them. If you give me it back, I'll sell it. And then I was like, I tried to just correct it and go, it is a first edition book, it will be popular. Did you know the Harry Potter book women went for £60,000? Overcompensating, then undercompensating because I felt threatened.
I'd have went with option A there.
I done
Give it back
both,
to
man.
me,
That's
I'll
just
sell
me.
it.
I did both, but
Yeah.
And anyway, I still talk to the woman, so she will listen to this. It grew into a friendship. But the reason why I was asking that, because I keep saying it, I was out in the world till I met these guys, and these are fascinating, factual, amazing people. But in that sense, have you been put in that situation? I know I'm being selfish here, but have you been in that situation with your dyslexia in any situation with your business?
Yeah, quite a lot. And I think it goes back to, like, whenever anybody mentions the fact that the email you sent made no sense to me.
Yeah.
It's like, me neither. Let's talk about it.
It was AI, I didn't send it.
There's been quite a bit of that, but I really feel nowadays it's a lot more acceptable to give people voice messages.
Yes.
It's a lot
Yeah,
easier
completely.
to do things face to face.
Because it is hard, because I'm hyperlexic, but Erlen, so it's a complicated combo. But so like I will notice, spelling and punctuation and stuff because that was one of my safe things. It was one of my special interests. But at the same time, I would never point it out to somebody, unless I've specifically been asked, can you edit this thing? Like it's just like, I read it and it makes sense, and that's fine.
I think there's a lot of people, if they don't have any experience in,
That's
like,
it.
if they don't know anybody
You
in the
don't know,
family
you
that
don't know.
struggles,
They don't know any
Yeah.
different.
yeah,
It's
it's not on their radar.
I'm mildly dyslexic, but language is changing all the time. So
Yeah.
the email that I would
Constant.
send is not the email that people.
Emails have become a lot chattier
Yeah.
over the last kind of 10
And the
years.
other thing, hold on, another wee tangent came out in my head. Your accent, you clearly don't come from here. So where have you moved to? Where have you came from? Obviously, I don't come from this area.
Welcome to the south of Scotland. You're not from here. Where are you from?
Yeah,
You're not
Yeah.
local. Well noticed.
It's taken you too far.
What attracted you to the
Yes.
south of Scotland, I think, is
South of Scotland.
Windows. Yeah. There's nothing to be
Large number
made.
of
I stand by my question. I'm standing by it. That's what I mean. How have you ended up here? We had a wee chat off.
Yeah, it
off
was,
air,
it's
didn't
just, I'm from Aberdeen,
we? Right.
for my sins. I don't sound like an Aberdonian, I try and hide it well.
Everybody does.
Yeah. But yeah, my parents had a house, and they'd lived overseas for quite a while, and they'd bought a house in the Borders to be close to grandma for their retirement.
Right.
Overseas being.
All over the place. They lived in France.
Oh, I thought you were going to say England. I was
Cool.
like, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
Berwick.
Yeah.
No, they were really lucky. They travelled through Indonesia,
Oh, lovely.
France.
Wow, cool.
Dad worked in Nigeria for a while, so it was the family were coming home. I went and visited. I was working on a job I was chefing up in Aberdeen at the time. Came and visited. Knew I loved the place. Stayed for about 8 days. got straight home to Aberdeen, handed in my notice, and moved down with no job, no driver's licence, no plan.
Sometimes you just know, right?
Yeah, I think I was probably running away from something, but
Running towards something.
I've never struggled to find work. Like I found job within a week of being down in the borders, which was really, really lucky.
You must come here, folks. Job within a week.
But I find stuff like that in our tribe. We tend to be able to find jobs.
Opportunities out there.
Opportunities. I like that better. Opportunities.
Really, if you're willing to adapt, which people in our situation have to be able to adapt.
Fight or flight.
If you're willing to adapt and you have to, it's a good incentive to go out there.
All logic goes out the window with fight or flight.
Absolutely. Literally.
Yeah, very much so. So we are coming to the end of part 2. I think we're going for a part 3. So please join us. And as I always say every week, if you haven't learned anything from this particular week, you need to listen to a different podcast. Something
Another one of us. Try that first.
Yeah, something a bit less audio intensive. But please join us in part 3 with our interview with Stevie. Welcome to part 3 of We Speak Tangent. We are still interviewing Stevie, who is an exterior cleaning specialist. There we go. Only took 2 takes. There we go. Great. Okay,
And
so
Stevia cleaning. Aye, okay, I was
Stevia
cleaning. I like that. So brings us on to our next question.
Yeah.
We have a separate podcast about Stevia. So this is one that we really like asking people. So do you have any things that add into your daily life that you could pass on to anybody who's listening? We will use loosely the word hack, but it's what you use in your daily life. You've gave us already AI, but what do you use in Extevia?
Because I guess
to beat that drum. Yeah.
it's that balance between, what helps you to show up in the way that you feel that you have to mask in order to be successful.
I think I'm trying things quite differently with this business than I have before. I'm trying. Yeah, well, look, I try and write everything down now, which is something I've kind of not done since I started working. But I find now if it's written down, I can go back to it and remember it. My problem's always been if I'm not doing it just now, I'll forget.
Absolutely.
So like 3 months down the line, when I get a new job doing whatever type of surface that's delicate, I'll forget the processes. Yeah. So I've really, for somebody who's dyslexic, I've just paperwork for me now.
Isn't that just like isn't that like the juxtaposition antithesis of what you...
It's taken me till now to take that approach, but I find it may be back to remembering patterns. So when I go and quote a job now, I've got a sheet with all the questions I need to ask, which helps you because if you forget to ask about drainage, it could change the job completely, or you forget whatever. It's really difficult. It's quite important.
I love that.
So even just a wee top on it, I know we were asking stuff off air, but what's the goal? I know that might be a question, but it's in my head. I need to pop it in. What's the goal for your business?
Before we get there, is there any other coping strategies or mechanisms? Like hold your horses, James.
It's alright, we'll remember.
Get there.
I've started using calendars a lot more.
Oh, cat, there you go.
I heard that on the podcast as well.
How many calendars is your optimal number?
I've whittled it back down to 1. It was 3 for a while, but it's back down to 1. We have it works out easier because we have a family calendar that we organise our dates, so everybody knows what I'm doing. Calendars. They're amazing, especially for somebody like me that never listens when I'm told what the plans are.
Yeah. Married? No.
Does it show?
You're safe here.
Yeah. I think I've taken a different tack. I'm definitely writing things down and setting up frameworks. So it's getting consistency.
I love hearing that, because especially to go full circle back to you talking about, even being given freedom with a pen and paper, being like, no, I'm not interested. And then it's almost like taking it back and putting it on your terms and being like, actually, no, if I use that in a way that's helpful,
For
then that
me,
does work.
it lowers my anxiety, just general anxiety as a business owner when you're speaking to customers or pricing jobs. If you know that everything you need to ask is only just a flip of a piece of paper away,
That's awesome.
that process in itself helps. And I think that it's quite a new skill for me to be using.
It's a backup as well, isn't it? For safety backup to have
But
that.
on day-to-day kind of things, there is a lot more. There's so many apps out there that can help you. There's speaking to your phone and searching things that way.
I've only just found that literally
Yeah,
2 weeks ago.
I'd say as a business, that's my next step. Try and work out what's out there, particularly for dyslexic people, to help do these sort of things. Because I haven't been in that space for such a long time.
Out in the wild.
Yeah.
Right, James, here you go. Here's your question.
Right, go.
So,
Oh,
Stevie,
come on now. There we go.
I know,
yeah.
I've got to drag it out. Stevie, so what's the future plans? Because I don't live too much in the future, and I certainly don't live in the past. But the past gives us what we have today. What's in store for Stevie's business for the future? What's the goals and aspirations?
The goal is to expand the business a little bit, but still keep it manageable, because I don't want to get back into the situation where I'm overworking myself to the stage where I get ill again.
What a beautiful value to have, though.
Yeah. But that's changed. I think having family's changed that.
Yeah.
I've got a 6-year-old son, so you kind of have to be there for them more than.
Family question, just because it's on my mind. Has dyslexia visited your family?
Very much so. My mum, quite severely dyslexic, but completely different to me. My brother, not so much. My dad, definitely not. It was a total mystery to him.
And generation down?
Grandfather, probably.
That's up.
Up, sorry, down.
It's okay.
I don't know yet. I've had this conversation with my mum recently. I think my son's definitely not dyslexic in the way that I was. It's too early to tell if he has any other. There's dyslexia in my partner's family.
Okay.
So it's following you around.
Yeah.
But you've got the ammunition.
Absolutely.
But there's a discussion there about, common ways of looking at the world and understanding, and like you say, if you've not come across it, then it's hard to.
It's like the way I always say is like, if it does happen, and he walks in the footsteps of you. That's how it works.
Absolutely.
And the people behind us. I've always said that. Well done.
So circle back to the question. So sorry, James, we went off on a tangent. So you want to expand the business, and that includes
employing people. I quite enjoy the challenge of employing people. I'm much more of a people person than I give myself credit for.
I would agree. And
I would like to hand down, like, for all the things that helped me, I'd like to offer that to other people.
That's so cool.
Even toyed with the ideas of trying to incorporate some sort of charity work, like helping people with mental health get back into work.
Nice.
Because I find
you've
that
done that. You have done that.
Yeah. But I think I'd like to sort of build that into the business.
That's awesome.
Also looking to sort of develop the business into some partnerships. I think there's a sort of gap.
Who with? Sorry.
People like the estate agents and stuff like that. People that are getting asked by their customers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Right?
What could I do to help sell this property? And it's like everything I do.
Move into this house. Won't always be this clean.
Any estate agents out
When
there?
you make
we are
it
looking
dirty.
for you, Stevie. Get in touch.
Yeah, I like the idea of partnerships because it's
Less pressure.
Hey, but I'm bummed.
Oh, sorry. That was a genuine
that.
one. Sorry. Yeah.
Hey.
I've never built something like that.
Yeah.
So I'm really interested in learning because that's well out my comfort zone.
That's cool, though.
Sort of contracts, that kind of things, official.
I think you're already there, though. There's many estate agents that need to sell their
Yeah,
stuff.
I think the opportunities are out there.
Yeah.
But how cool that you've got to the point where you're now actively going, this is really good. but I would like to challenge myself.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really cool.
Some people call that boredom.
And also, how good is it? We've spoke about wee Stevie, young Stevie, and now see, you can see the difference in you already when we start to talk about other stuff and what's coming.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That in itself, you know, is to see you instantly. You're like, this is that. That for me is powerful. That's the powerful mission statement you have there. So I thank you very much for that.
Yeah.
So before we talk about cake, which is a staple of any neurodivergent podcast,
Absolutely,
I'm
especially
gonna
this one.
Yes, well, yes. I'm going to ask my sort of mum question, which is: you are incredibly busy. There is no set time pattern. How do you switch off?
Still got to learn that.
Oh, okay.
It's
Do you
quite
still
difficult. I think
birdwatch?
no, haven't since. Sort of
Is it not the
teenage.
season?
No,
I don't know these things. I'm just asking the question.
I think
Big birds all the time.
Okay.
it's difficult because you can run your business on your mobile phone nowadays.
Yeah, it's
So
hard
I
to-
think that's
100%.
That's awesome,
something-
but it's also hard to
yeah,
step away
it's
from.
terrible
Yeah.
because it's
Do you have a work phone?
no.
That's the thing, right? Learn to put it away and do something. Yeah.
But I
Switch
guess
off.
it's work's my hobby.
Yeah. Is
So
it?
it's kind of
Okay.
That's cool.
Yeah.
It's the merging in it. I
Yeah.
get that. Totally
it's
get
like I
that.
don't grudge staying up late at night or going down the rabbit hole of trying to work
Side
out whatever
hustle.
tomorrow's problem's going to be.
Yeah.
But yeah, I need to factor in. I think once the business starts running more consistently and the name's out there and there's less.
We haven't asked the question. My goodness, how long has your business been running?
6 months.
Oh my god! Right, okay.
I've had a gardening business beforehand.
Oh, we missed that. Okay.
Yeah, there's loads of jobs that
We
have,
we tangented off
yeah.
before the list even barely started.
I started a gardening business just after I had a long spell off work.
Farming.
Yeah. So there's farming, and then I was ill for a while, and then started getting back into it. And I couldn't see where you could expand a gardening business.
Fair.
Exterior cleaning, it's more of a service you're paying for. So you're not selling your hours, you're not selling your time, you're selling your
A thing that
skills,
is done,
service,
yeah.
knowledge.
It goes back to that discussion
experience.
about sweeping. It's
Yeah.
like, you can see that it's something has changed.
And is there? I gotta make it sound like mafia now. Is there like a sort of power like exterior cleaners union? Is there many? Is there competition within?
I don't believe anything's competition. I think the
Oh,
more,
good
I
answer.
think the more people around you doing the same thing, the
Yes.
better it is.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's one answer.
Until the market gets saturated. But I believe there's a lot of people out there doing it differently than I am.
So what makes
So-
yours different, other than your neurodivergence,
Yeah,
which is why we're here? But yeah.
trying to be the full package, if you know what I mean. It's like rather than just I can do your patios or I can clean your patios.
Yeah,
It's like I want to be able to come in and with full confidence say I can.
Anything outside, I
Yeah.
want it.
You
Absolutely
just took me on
everything.
another tangent. I'm smiling.
Yeah.
You've took me somewhere. Somebody cook you dinner. I'm going to clean everything, and then I'm going to do a garden. Copyrighted right here by me.
And then I can't leave. That's
Family.
it. Yeah.
If you see
That's
my
the whole
gar-
package for me, man. That's like, get yourself running.
That was the other thing about gardening is I stopped gardening. So when I was doing it as a business, I stopped gardening very quickly because there
That's
just wasn't the time.
It's a thing that neurodivergent, we move on to something else
Yeah.
because we get
Yeah.
stimulation for that.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
no gardening for me. Eating, yes.
Garden centre, yes.
I love
Gardening, no. Yeah. Yes. So, sorry, I just got this image of I can clean your windows, I can clean your door. If you've got a dog, we can power wash that.
They don't like it.
No. Well, they might not have an option. I mean, it depends on the power of the wash.
Would we call that Paul or what?
Yeah. Oh.
Can't you stop, man?
You know, some tangents need putting to bed.
Oh, can he?
Here we go.
So,
Yeah.
so we have sort of had the conversation of you walked in and we did what we do, which was present the fidget library.
Oh, sorry. I didn't know where you were going with that. Right, okay, sorry. The fidget library.
It is. It's growing. So yeah, and we all have fidget toys. So what are your favourite fidgets in that? So you did make the comment of, you've never really had fidget toys before, but are there things that that help you to calm down, stim-wise?
Not massively. I think this is quite a new approach for me. I'm quite enjoying it. I usually have bouncy legs or fidgety hands.
Interesting.
So,
yeah.
Yeah, it's nice. Even for sort of just to keep anxiety down, it's quite a nice way to keep busy.
So that's exterior cleaning, fidget library. What else could you do? Like, making phone calls for people.
Mm-hmm.
I'd buy that.
There's a skill set here.
Managing people
Managing
is
people.
a skill and a half.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, I think you've done a tremendous job to get where you
Absolutely,
are.
100%.
Absolutely.
If the teachers could see you now.
Yeah.
They can.
Well, yes. We'll put you in touch, yeah. But if the teachers that
Just
didn't
leave a
realise
VHS on the door.
if the teachers that didn't think that you had as bright a future as you've created for yourself could see you now, I'm not talking about the positive ones that helped, I'm talking about the other side. And segue, they need to eat cake. So
we have eaten cake.
We have, but the teachers do, because usually if you get
Everyone needs to eat this cake.
if you get something really wrong, you just eat cake. That's what you do. So we're going from fidget library to cake library. And also, I'd be remiss if I didn't say that you have a connection to the person that makes the cake you live in the vicinity of.
Her parents.
Yes.
Yeah, we live across the road.
And it was Rachel that said, I've got this friend
Make
that
the
could do this.
Yeah, no, it was just one of those passings that we just started talking, and it's come up with this opportunity. So it's
She's an actual genius.
Yeah.
But then again, I'm
Definitely a
semi-biased. 100%. So what is your favourite The Frangipane Bakery bake?
my favourite by far is the brownie.
Which brownie?
Chocolate and raspberry brownie.
The chocolate and raspberry. Good choice.
Which other brownie? That's how it is. No, there is a few.
That's the only wee crispy bits in the top, isn't it?
I think they all have the gorgeous chocolatey drizzles.
A life without chocolate is a life not worth. Unless you do like the whole vegan vegetable thing. But
Vegan chocolate is also awesome.
Never tried it. Let's try it.
There's bound to be one thing that's...
I'll bring some next week.
Yeah. Okay. We've went through your sort of life, and you mentioned gardening and you mentioned your cleaning business. So what other things have you tried? Just before getting to this point, because I want people to actually sit at home and watch, or and people do watch. I'm flabbergasted.
People are watching.
People
yes.
are watching. But I want people
You
to.
are watching.
Sorry. No. But I want people. It's not. You don't find the thing that you can do really well straight away. That's the point.
Yeah.
So what journey, other than the things that you've done, have you been on?
I guess maybe how do you know when you hit on the right thing?
Or do you know?
I don't know.
That was a good segue.
Wrong answer.
Okay, we killed that. That was great. We can go
Some
again.
tangents do die. It's
Yeah.
fine.
I don't know. I guess I could just kind of take it for what it is at the time, like not live in the moment, but everything moves on to something else.
Yeah.
Like I've been a stonemason, I've worked in forestry, I've worked for, I've done catering for international school.
Oh goodness.
I've done all sorts of weird and wonderful things. It's very much if the opportunity comes up, I'll
Take it.
give it a shot.
So
And I think the beautiful thing is, all of those things,
makeup.
you get to a point where you start saying, like, oh, actually, the reason I can do this now is because I did that then.
Yeah, and it's when you're not looking for it. My gardening business, I pretty much closed down because I went and helped a friend for a day. And 18 months later, I'd been landscaping for 18 months. So it's you just go for the opportunities are there.
Your garden must be pristine.
Terrible.
Is it?
Used to be lovely.
Outstanding.
Used to be a beautiful little garden. Permaculture.
Family.
all that kind of
Family. Yeah.
As soon as you start working in other people's gardens for a living,
that's
it's
it.
quite...
I've got another wee question that's burning into me. So, like as a neurodivergent myself, autism, ADHD, dyslexia, all that, you know, I don't mind admitting on here, I sunk my first business because I had no help. That's accounts, the whole lot. What you just mentioned there about phoning things, and I'm like that. I sunk a very, very lucrative business because I didn't file accounts. I had nobody. It was just me. Very solitude. How do you do that? I'm very interested.
I'm sure time will tell. I'm still in the sort of early stage.
6 months, James.
Yeah.
It's been running 6 months.
Like the other businesses and stuff.
Over the next year, I see myself trying to get some support.
Yes.
Get some people in place or some procedures in place to safeguard me from the things that automatically.
Have you accessed SOSE?
I have. I've started the conversation. So
Good.
it's,
Good. Got to get the plug in there.
Just,
They're
just
wonderful people.
excited to see where that comes from because it's
Cool.
it's not something that I really thought about until I had my meeting with Rachel. She was really good sort of explaining her situation. So it's to sort of look out there and see what's out there.
Do you know what's apparent, and it's nice to hear you say that, and I did just blot that last question out, but you know, it's that something
was a
that's
good
on
one.
my mind. But it's nice to see that you're still growing. Don't want to say older Stevie, but Stevie now is still growing into Stevie, and that's what it is, aye?
As I still say, like, I don't know what I want to do when I grow up. I
Exactly.
think if
Who does?
if you live like that,
Who does
you won't
grow
be
up?
disappointed.
Exactly. Peter Pan syndrome. Never grow up. Never grow up. It's a lie.
I think nature's done that for me. I'd love to be young, but
I don't think you ever feel like
no, I was born 50.
that you're good at adulting.
So I'm sure that we will have you back as we try to do with all the guests going
Yes.
forward, because we want to try and get
The full journey.
the full
it's-
thing.
I think it's a great way to tell the story.
Aye.
And I think that what you do and who you are could be a benefit and an asset to a lot of people.
Absolutely.
I'm sure James will give you his contacts afterwards,
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
if we come back in 6 months, a year, and you're in business together, we'll know it worked.
No, remember, sunk the first couple. He's like, not touch it.
Oh yeah, just power
But you've
through.
got windows, right?
Yes,
There you go.
100%. So, is there any other questions other than
Does Stevie have any
Things?
questions?
Was there anything else that you wanted to mention that we haven't asked about?
I'm sure there was, but I probably won't think about it until we've finished. No,
That's cool.
it's been really nice.
If there is anything like that as well, you can always
Add
send
it.
it for the show notes.
Cool.
And just as another plug, your business is called not what James called your
Yeah.
business. Your business is called
Swinton Exterior Cleaning.
Awesome.
right, and I'm sure all
Handles
the
will be in the show notes.
yes, all the handles and Insta and TikTok when it's created. I
Yes.
have no idea. I'm just saying this. Will be in the show notes. So from all of us here, thank you so much, Stevie,
Thank you, Stevie.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
being with us today. I'm sure it'll be a very informative episode for folks out there. Thank you to the folks out there for subscribing and watching. Until
Please
next
review
time.
us on your platform of choice.
Yes, but yes, do that. Do that. Yeah, it's been wonderful being with you again. And from all of us here, from Michael,
From James.
And from Kat.
thank you very much. We'll see you next week.
Namaste.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the We Speak Tangent podcast, brought to you by the Neurodivergent Entrepreneurs Network in partnership with South of Scotland Enterprise.